A hashtag urging people to boycott ABC is trending on social media following an ad that actually aired on a Sinclair-affiliated ABC station in Washington, D.C. The ad features a photo of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, representative from New York, and her image is burning. There is a comparison to her political ideology to genocide in Cambodia. And just to give you more information before we toss to this ad, it was paid for by a right-wing political action committee, and the political action committee is founded by a failed congressional candidate. Her name is Elizabeth Heng, and it is incredibly disturbing. So I want to give you that warning before we watch. And with that said, take a look at this disgusting, defamatory ad.
This is the face of socialism and ignorance. Does Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez know the horror of socialism? My father was minutes from death in Cambodia before a forced marriage saved his life. That's socialism. Forced obedience, starvation. Mine is a face of freedom. My skin is not white. I'm not outrageous, racist, nor socialist. I'm a Republican.
Oh, you're not outrageous. Okay, so let me give you more details on this ad before we open it up to the panel. So during the first commercial break in the 3-hour marathon debate session, viewers in Washington, D.C. were treated to this 30-second spot that opened with this photo of AOC. Also, AOC, I didn't know about it until AOC had tweeted about it. This was last night during the debate. And she said, Republicans are running TV ads, setting pictures of me on fire to convince people they aren't racist. Life is weird. And she also said, know that this wasn't an ad for young conservatives of color. That was the pretense. What you just watched was a love letter to the GOP's white supremacist case. And at a time when we're seeing an increase of young men who are radicalized with right-wing ideology in this country, and we're seeing homegrown terrorism in this country in the form of these mass shootings, this type of imagery is unacceptable. And the fact that any type of television station would think it's a good idea to air something like this is unbelievable to me.
Oh, there's so much to be said. I'm actually now teaching on a campus that has had multiple incidences of white supremacist vandalism and violence. And recently there's a border initiative event that is happening for months at the school, and a white supremacist group vandalized all of the material. And watching the Turning Point put their table on campus and luring people in around this context is frightening to me, because they are weaponizing that anxiety, fear that they have, and it is so crazy that it's also done within the framework of socialism. We're just so emaciated when it comes to understanding political economy and also how it is contextualized in global history. We have no idea what she's talking about in Cambodia. What happened in Cambodia was there was French colonialism forever, right? And the French, what they did was set up structures that favored one group of people over another, creating a lot of tension that happens in every colonial situation between groups of people. And in order to defeat the colonialism, there is a military-led campaign to do so. And so the most militarized group is the one that prevails. And the violence that she's referencing is the Khmer Rouge's violence. And it was horrific, it was destructive. It wasn't because of socialism, it was because of that historical root. And also, the modern nation state is a violent entity, but we have no context to understand that. That's one thing. And two, it's just, they're also presuming racism by outwardly saying, her saying, I'm not white, by the way.
Well, the first thing I noticed is that in her opening statement about not being white, you clearly know that a middle-aged white man wrote that. Like, it was very clear. You could see like her wheels were spinning in the back of her head as she was trying to remember the line and then give it to us with a straight face.
Right.
And I think that what's frightening and troubling beyond that even is that this is straight from Hitler's playbook.
Absolutely.
I think Mein Kampf, I think it's the Jews. Let's blame the Jews. If we can just put a face to your suffering and your struggles, or if we can put a face to these bodies that are laying here, that was terrible.
I mean, who thought this would be perfect if we just open up with an image of AOC and her face burning, a brown woman's face who is being attacked by white supremacists. And we already know that when Trump retweeted a video of Ilhan Omar talking about 9/11 and contextualizing it for people, in the background there was an image that had the slogan of an organization called Council on American Islamic Relations, Los Angeles, and it was in the background. Next day or day of, they got bomb threats.
So let's just also be clear though, AOC, first of all, socialism, right? Getting a grasp and understanding what the textbook definition is. Furthermore, AOC did not create these ideals. She definitely has a strong voice, a strong presence, and she has a platform and an understanding from a first person perspective what it's like to struggle, being someone who came from waiting tables to now being in that position. However, I think again, it's an attempt to not only character assassinate, but quite literally, there are people sending bomb threats to people. It just,
sorry, really quickly. I just want to add something too, which is that the reason they're attacking socialism so vigorously is they're trying to conceal the actual terror of capitalism. And we don't even understand the robustness of the violence of capitalism because we don't go back to really where it originated, and it originated in chattel slavery and settler colonialism. So the body count for that is far more exceeds socialism, and we don't care to ever bring that into the conversation.
I mean, even today, even if you want to focus on the context of a capitalistic society today and think about the number of people who die as a result of the obsession of profit. I mean, think about how many Americans die on a regular basis because they don't have the ability to afford healthcare in America. So it is kind of interesting how the right wing finds a way to twist our current narrative to something that is just perverse and has nothing to do with what AOC is advocating for. And she did put out a tweet to reiterate what it is that she stands for. And when you really think about it, I think even the Republican base, even the voters would agree to most of these policies had it not been for the right-wing media that really does twist these policy proposals and these ideas. So she writes, since the GOP will only get worse in their hysteria, let's remember who we are. We're fighting to guarantee healthcare in America, to make education and housing dignified and accessible, to save our planet, to set living standards, to establish justice at home and peace abroad. And so to take that political ideology and twist it into genocide in Cambodia is just sick. And even if you completely disagree with the political ideology that AOC has, think about where we are as a country right now and how we are grappling with an increase of violence. Putting out this type of violent imagery toward a young woman, a member of Congress, is unacceptable. And this also shows you what Sinclair is all about. This is why it is dangerous to have any type of monopoly in media. And the media consolidation that we're experiencing today is gonna continue spreading this type of misinformation, this type of violent rhetoric and imagery, and it does nothing for a functioning democracy. You don't have a functioning democracy when you have this type of right-wing hold on our media.
Absolutely.
So, and I'm gonna be honest, I'm afraid for her. I'm afraid for her, I'm afraid for Representative Ilhan Omar, because we already know that people are willing to carry out acts of violence. There are 3 stories in the first hour of this show alone that have to do with right-wingers. I'm talking about public figures, I'm not even talking about voters. Public figures, elected members of Congress, or I should say elected members of state legislatures who are threatening to shoot individuals that they disagree with, publicly. That is what's happening in this country right now.
And imagine if it was on the other side and the left used that kind of rhetoric.
I mean, we already know what happens when Andy Ngo, gets any type of assault from members of Antifa, right? And he has no problem with conspiring with right-wingers when they want to carry out violence. But every single media outlet will go out there and condemn Antifa and make it appear as though they are the equivalent of the right-wing violence in this country. They are not even close. Let's call it what it is. This is a real problem, and I think our media enables it. They just do. Stop drawing the false equivalencies. We know where the radicalization happens in this country, and it's not happening on the left.
I think it's why we also see the strong attack on progressives like Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders, because they're talking about these things that are generational. Like you talked about, like chattel slavery, all these different things that have happened. Our country has a dark legacy, an egregious past around not only how we've responded or treated communities of color and indigenous folks, but more specifically, what happens when you get on the heels of white supremacy. And I feel like right now what we're witnessing is white supremacy on its deathbed.
Yeah.
And so it's backed into a corner and it's like flailing with the blade, just cutting anything that gets in close proximity to it. And so I think that for people like myself, I didn't get into politics really until like 2015. So I knew that there was a part of me that wanted to know what was happening in the larger conversation, but just thinking, how does all of this language like socialism and liberal and progressive and this and GOP and what is that really like? What is that really saying underneath it all? Like, I think sometimes we need to simplify it. And I do believe that helped Trump somewhat in the election even, because he didn't have the language or the scholastic aptitude to be able to approach these people with all of these terms. He spoke to them in a way where he was talking to them, not over them. And so we, progressive Democrats, we have to get to a place where we learn how to make these conversations more accessible. So I love the way that AOC just came out and said what it is. She restated the mission. This is what we're here to do. Anything else is just noise. Let's focus on the nuance.
Yes, and I'm sure she's getting, as usual, a barrage of threats and harassment on social media. She's fighting for us every single day, and it takes a lot of courage to do it in today's climate. So show her some love, give her a note of encouragement, and try to inspire her the way that she's inspired us, because she's out there fighting for us. We should fight for her.
Like what you see? Click the subscribe button below, and don't forget to ring the bell to never miss another video from the Young Turks.